because what I wanted to touch was now the next 31st.
Okay.
Because the next 31st was the country had been stopped. We were all live on TV. Remember?
Yeah.
We were all live on TV.
That was 2010.
That was later, eh? When there was an attack. When there was an attack, and then now the country had been stopped. It was our first curfew. It's like what's happening now.
Yeah, basically all events were stopped.
Okay, but before that, let's touch on TV, because I remember that was live on TV. And in fact, at this time, you were on Citizen.
So basically what happened was...
No, first, how did
you
get
talk
on
about
TV?
TV?
Yeah.
So remember in 2007, I talked about another highlight. Me starting a radio show with Homeboys.
Yes.
So the show was crossover. So in, I think in August of that year, I started crossover on Homeboys. And man, it was such a great experience, man. So I'll do the shows, a show from 10 p.m. to midnight on Thursdays and on Sundays. Great experience. So in 2008, as the show continued growing, I started having conversations with Mike, and Mike had just gotten a frequency. So,
yes.
So he told me that he has a frequency. I got to learn that he has a frequency that he had. So I told him, Mike, would you consider giving us this frequency? We make it into a gospel station. And we had many conversations, man. Many conversations with Mike and John Rabah and Alf Rabah. And eventually we got to the place where they said, okay, we convinced them and they saw the value in terms of them giving us that frequency to make it a gospel station. That was 91.1.
Power FM.
Power Radio.
Power Radio.
Yes. Power Radio, man, was epic.
So this was the first time now you were running your own station.
We were running our own station.
I mean, thank God that they had given you the infrastructure and everything, didn't they?
The infrastructure was set up.
Yes.
Us guys were given the management of that frequency with a very minority shareholding in the station. You know, but I think for me the exciting part was being able now to be on air 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
Power Radio. So now in 2008 we did TSO at Parklands Baptist.
Aha, that was big.
We did it at Parklands Baptist. And that same night, we launched Power Radio.
Oh, that was when you launched
That's when we launched Power Radio and introduced it to the masses in 2008. And now at that time, God had blessed us to have Becky come and join us. So Becky came to help us run Power Radio. And man, that was a significant point. Because basically, suddenly now, local music now has a place where it can be played 24 hours. And gospel music, international music, we have an opportunity now to be able to introduce people to all this music library that we have. The guys only get to listen to 3 times a week. Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Because we're still doing the show with Hope FM.
Yes. Oh, you're still doing the show with Hope FM?
Yeah, we're still doing the show with Hope FM in 2007. So in 2008, no, this was
yeah.
So in 2008 going into 2009, yes.
Yes.
So in 2008 going into 2009, that's when we launched Power Radio at Parklands Baptist, when we did TSO there. Pastor Nick was the youth pastor at Parklands Baptist. And man, it was such a fantastic experience. My wife at that time, I was married.
You got married?
Oh yeah.
When did you get married? What year?
We got married in October of that year, 2008. She did not have a good experience with that TSO.
That TSO?
Oh
at
man, she was busy chasing around teenagers who were busy exploding some
fireworks.
Setting off fireworks in the middle of people. And then she fell in a ditch and twisted her ankle. Sorry, babe.
She got introduced to youth culture.
Oh man, I mean she was already into it.
Oh yes, she was.
Whenever we did the gigs at Sikiliza, she was running the bar. And when I say the bar, we were selling drinks, sodas, and water. Oh man, such great experiences, man.
So now this you're talking about running your own station.
So now we're running our own station.
So what are the learnings there?
So running our own station, of course, first it was exciting, but basically so eventually what we had agreed on that was going to happen didn't happen, and us guys were left to run the station on our own. So there's no finances coming in, so guys' salaries were not available.
I get
that's why putting a strain on us. It's a new station, you know, we still have not penetrated into the secular market that much, so guys in the corporate world are not feeling us that much to give us commercials and things like that, so it was very difficult.
So learning the
financial backing was not there.
The business side of running a station now.
Yep.
Which is a lot of work.
That was a lot of work. And basically, we had employees now and we didn't have money to pay them. But these guys are sold out. They're coming to work every day. So we have Soxy, we have Soxy, we have...
Goi?
Not yet. Goi not joined us at that time. So we had Soxy, we had Bob, we had Becky, we had Nancy Kihenia, we had David Njuguna, there was myself, there was Njugush. We had a breakfast presenter, Chichi Sei. And, you know, basically we just didn't have cash to pay guys. You know, we couldn't afford it. Not because we didn't want to, but I don't know what had happened to Homeboys at that time. Maybe they didn't have the finances to be able to take care of people. So, I mean, it was a huge struggle for us. People loved the station, but man, it was a huge struggle. So presenters started presenting shows in April of that year. And I remember when the presenters went on air, I think Debs and I had gone to visit the family in the UK. That's when we had gone to do our wedding, yeah? She's not with us. We had gone to do our wedding in the UK, April of 2009. And that's when our presenters actually went on air live on Kubamba, on Power Radio at that time. So, man, but that was a great year for the gospel industry, man, because in August of that year, Daddy Owen launched his album Randa Randa. System ya Kapungala.
Yeah, System ya Kapungala. Yeah.
You know, and we were the station who were running it, man.
Nice.
And we got to see something beautiful because the gig was happening at NPC Valley Road, and the place was packed.
It was packed.
Packed. Guys were like, and yeah, there's something that's happening here now. That's the year that Daddy Owen probably scooped up all the...
Those are the years. That's when he began.
It was in 2010 when he won all the Groove
Kuvamia kila
Awards.
kitu.
Yes, he won every category, including Central Song of the Year. With Kerero.
I know. Oh man, yes.
The same year, man, MOG launched their album as well at Mavuno.
Nice,
we pushed the album.
Julian, there was a lot. In fact, Julian even shot Hella at your studio.
Yes, Julian shot his video Hella at our studios. Giuliani launched his album, we pushed it as well. Man, it was good times, Bana. And now what happened towards the end, at the end of 2008, getting into 2009, as I was doing my radio show crossover before we launched the radio station, NTV called Homeboys and they started having conversations. So Homeboys were given airtime on NTV Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
What?
But they didn't know what to do with Sundays. So they had content Monday through Saturday, but clueless what to do on Sundays. So Alf came and asked me, Moz, what can you do? Can you guys do something on Sunday night? I was like, heck yeah. We've been waiting for this opportunity, man.
Let me show you a demo that we did 4 years before.
Good point, man. So that desire that we had in 2005, the demo that we did, became a reality January 2009.
And that's
when we launched Crossover on NTV.
I mean, the same crossover that DJ Moz is on. That's the name even.
That was my radio show.
In fact, when you launched it, it was, who was the host? Nancy? Nancy was...
No. When you launched Crossover,
yeah,
it was me, Soxy, Celeb, and Chugush.
Oh.
Because it was Kubamba now on television.
Yeah.
You get?
That is insane. I remember even when we do high school missions, you would even have a segment from that high school mission
to play.
In fact, here's an example.
Hey, what's up, man? Crossover 101 at Bush Boys, that's Alliance Boys High School. Our first mission for this year, man. Check this out, man. It's gonna be big, it's gonna be tight, it's gonna be awesome, man. Your boy DJ Moz representing K-Krew, representing Christ Jesus to the fullest, no doubt. With my boy Julian in Dania Nyumba. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, man. So make sure you keep it locked right here on NTV, man. That's NTV. I'll see you. Crossover, man.
First of all, let me emphasize on our importance in here. It's not just the physical appearance, but even the spiritual implication. As in, if you want to know that a big building is going to come up, just look at the foundation.
Something of significance is some of the best brains in the country are here. You know, as we were praying, one of the things that came through for me, Annie, and we've been talking about it on BS, is the hopes of an entire generation lies with us. You know, and for us this year, we're doing missions with a different agenda, Annie. we have a mission to fulfill. We have a mission we need to accomplish, and to make sure that we've hit it and hit it well. Because for us, we desire to see many young people coming, turning back to Mungu, and just being totally sold out to him. Coming over here to Bush Boys, when we go on stage, we want us to give these students like the best show ever. Unajua? As in, it's like there's no tomorrow.
Mwambie gari ni mzee sana ninunulie ingine mpya. Pomsi atuchongona tukombanganya. Ganya. Fresh mazee. Peleni mazee, we hear K-Krew mazee ndani ya nyumba Kubamba crew. And basically man, K-Krew leka go to drive me kuwa. Tusema we seek to create social responsibility among the youth through biblically based convictions and contemporary Christian. So whatever we do have to do with yani, lazima kuwe na ngoma au sio? Kwa hivyo kuna ngoma kali mazee. Ndani ya nyumba mazee kuna msanii wa nguvu anaitwa Juliani. Mazee kuna msanii mwingine wa nguvu anaitwa A-Star. Kuna msumpa wa nguvu pia mazee kutoka kwa hip hop anajulikana kama Michelle Jo. Kweli. Yeah mazee, this is how we get the show started man. Bora kazini bana, uwazi bana wewe amka. Uko fresh, What's up, Kenya? This is MOG. Yeah, we are on a mission at Alliance Boys with K-Krew.
Yeah, you are watching Crossover 101.
Yeah, NTV. You don't say, go let him go.
Go let him go.
Go let him go.
Go let him go.
Zitaenda shona nani kasi? Utabadi shona nani kasi? Zitanunuliwa na nani kasi? Simamishi mwingine ni wewe na B. Nasema wewe na B. Bush Boys, you're walking crossover 101.
Hi, I'm Wesley Kiputo, Alliance High School. You are watching Crossover 101 on NTV. Yeah, the whole thing was so good. Yeah, we are grateful. We are so just. Yeah, the whole thing was so nice.
Mama said this JCB bana enye Moji kinyama bana hadi sauti imepotea kinyama crazy salama.
How was it good? I mean, did you like it?
Enye imeshika tumemaliza kila kitu. Imeleta tu show juu down kabisa. Peace bana.
Yes, and BK, remember BK?
Yes, BK used to shoot it.
BK used to shoot
Baptist.
it.
Baptist.
Yes, so BK used to shoot those captions whenever we did missions, and we showed them on the TV. So Kubamba now became a reality on television with Crossover. So NTV called it Crossover 101 because Crossover was already my radio show on Homeboys Radio.
Oh man, this is crazy.
So that desire that I had in 2005 became a reality in 2009 January.
Yeah.
We started the second week of January, or maybe the third week of January 2009. And we did it for...
So explain to people on TV before that, what gospel shows were there?
On TVs before Crossover, there was Stomp. And Stomp was very popular with Arthur K, if you remember. And Arthur, basically what he had done was, I mean, he had started playing music videos and people love, say, appreciating gospel music in terms of that like now. We can see the visual element of it. And of course now Akina Maximum Melodies are all shooting videos.
Yep.
Yesu ni Mwema by the Eagles. And all those guys, Akina Kabas, you know, so all these songs are starting to get airplay. Akina Fundi Wambao, including some of your songs. You know,
only one.
Only one at that time.
Yeah, but it's all good. Then you had two. So is that when U-Turn also came into the picture?
Pardon?
U-Turn. Remember the gospel show U-Turn by Steve Ominde on Citizen? Or that was after?
Probably was there before. I mean, Nani, Esther Wahome used to do a show, I think it was called Shangilia, on Citizen as well.
Okay, I get it.
You know, it was also quite popular.
Yeah.
But on Sunday mornings, when we were given that time, it was called Dead Airtime. Who's watching TV on Sunday mornings? Dead Airtime. Hakuna mtu anatizama TV. Guys are in church. No one cares much about
They
TV.
called it Dead Airtime.
It was called Dead Airtime. Amesema God is in the business of raising the dead.
That's so cool.
So we started, and you know, we went on doing this TV show on Sunday mornings. It just became more popular, more popular, more popular. Just dudes hanging out, having our conversations, and involving guys into our, you know, the audience to take part in our conversations. I remember we used to have a green screen, so we're not allowed to go with certain colors on the show.
Don't go with green, please.
I think they had a blue screen, so not allowed to go with anything blue because you'd be transparent. So I mean, we had some really nice shows, but now we had the first show that's being DJ'd as a gospel show. So videos are not just
that's another first.
So now videos are not just being played.
A VDJ show.
It's
you can
show.
request and they play that song.
Yes. And Homeboys used to come and do the whole setup for us. All we used to do was just go with our DVDs and learn how to mix the vision mixer, switching between songs.
I didn't know this was a partnership with Homeboys.
I mean, now Homeboys had the contract.
Yes.
So Homeboys now subcontracted us to do the Sunday show.
I get it.
But all the setup was theirs.
Yes.
So us guys just used to rock up with our music, and all the things were set up by Homeboys, which I think was fantastic, Bana. So Mike and the crew, thank you very much, guys, because they opened up the door for us.
Yep.
It was a huge answer to prayer, and it was an opportunity for us to be able to introduce people to a different, again, young people to a fresh kind of gospel. So we did this for many months, I think for about 9 months, but then we were not getting paid for it.
Again.
So we tried to make appeals, nothing was happening, so we said, let's just stop doing this. So we stopped doing Crossover for a month. And then guys started asking, hey, what's happening? How come Crossover is not happening? What's happening, man? This show was a good show. How come it's not happening? So they called us for a meeting. And so finally we started getting paid for Crossover.
Oh, nice. So they called you, they allowed you to go back.
They allowed us to go back.
Yeah.
And to do the show. But finally now, at the end of the month, we had to pay. We had some, so it allowed us at least now to have some finances. And the beautiful thing was that actually it's the audience that demanded. And then the bosses called us. And I remember Victor Ngei, called us for a meeting in his office, and we highlighted our challenges. And he explained to us where they were. But the good thing was, at least we were able to get some funds to be able to do what we were doing. So we went back in November. So we did November, we did December. And now that December was another turning point for us of 2009, 2010. Because now here's TSO, we're doing TSO again. And this time around, TSO was back at Nairobi Chapel. Because we had issues with security cops when we were at Parklands Baptist telling us you need to reduce the volume. So we went back to Nairobi Chapel. And Chapel was gracious enough to be able to accommodate us there. And so when we were at Chapel, when it came to publicity, man, we were told we can't publicize our event at NTV.
Huh?
We're told we cannot talk about TSO on NTV.
What?
So It's
It
the
didn't make
battles.
sense.
The battles that we face come from some of the most unexpected quarters. So they say we can't talk about TSO in their station. That's not happening. I'm like, it's our gig. We've invited you guys to be a part of this gig. We've actually reached out to them to be a part of this gig.
To film it and air it live if you want.
And they refused. They refused. So we reached out to Citizen, and Citizen jumped on it. They were like, yeah. And the good thing that had happened, the people don't know, was in 2008, when us guys were doing TSO at Parklands Baptist, we didn't have a media house that was coming to cover it. DJ Kev was doing a gig. Most were doing a gig at KICC in town.
In fact, it was the first time we were having those two concurrent.
Those two gigs, two gospel gigs in close proximity on the same night. So Kev was doing the gig at City Hall, at High Court, at the High Court grounds. Nonini had a gig, or Juakali had a gig at the ballroom. But of course, Akina Kev waliwaosha. Good job, Kev. Mlifanya poa. So the gig was at the High Court parking lot. So NTV was sponsoring that gig. That's why we couldn't talk about TSO on that platform.
Oh, I get.
So Citizen wanted to go and broadcast that gig for Akina Kev. But Kev was like, listen, we can't have you guys both here at the same time. We already have NTV. However, Akina Moz are doing a gig at
Chapel.
At Parklands Baptist.
Oh, yes, Parklands Baptist.
Why don't you guys go and cover that gig? So at around 6 o'clock, I got a call from Eunice from Citizen. She was like, from Citizen would like to come and cover the gig. Is it okay if we come? I was like, yeah, just come. So Citizen came. And they broadcasted that gig for TSO that night.
Yes.
From Parklands Baptist.
Yep.
And they loved it, but we didn't have another conversation. Now, this December, we've been told by NTV we can't talk about our gig. And we reached out to Citizen. Citizen were like, yeah, we'll give you guys publicity for it. So Citizen ran our publicity. So we're on NTV, doing a show on NTV, and we're doing a gig, but our gig is being advertised
by Citizen. Because NTV were doing Kev's gig again.
We're doing Kev's gig.
I know.
That night.
At KICC now.
At KICC now. So we went to, Citizen gave us publicity, and that was at Nairobi Chapel. And that started our relationship with Citizen. So that 2009, 2010, the MD for Citizen, Washira Waroro,
yeah.
So he's there in Coastal watching stations, and then he's seeing this gig on his station. He's like, what's going on? Because he's seeing the church is packed. The place is packed.
And
the energy
I remember
is ridiculous.
Giuliani threw
down. Rafton threw down. Ringtone together with SK Blue, their song Pamela was a big deal. I mean, everyone.
It was so... In fact, that was why I say it was the heydays. All gigs were packed to capacity.
Bro, we had traffic. We caused traffic on Ngong Road, bana. Cars coming towards Nairobi Chapel. That day we had a stampede. I didn't even enjoy that TSO.
Yeah.
I didn't even go to mix. Because now the numbers were so crazy. People are not coming in fast enough.
Yes.
And man, we almost had a stampede and we had an issue. God has been very gracious to us, man. That even the people who got injured, we were able to walk with them and take them to the hospital, those who are. And that was a wake-up call for us. So
by the amount of numbers that you are attracting.
The amount of numbers we were attracting.
Yeah.
So the MD for Citizen, Washira Waroro, is watching the station. He's like, what's happening with my station? As in, we have this fantastic gig, this wonderful, all these people who are there, the energy is ridiculous, fantastic time, great content, people are sober, it's a gospel gig, and guys are having a good time. So he started asking himself a question about what's happening with the gospel industry. And so they called us for a meeting and asked, if we gave you guys airtime on Sunday mornings, what can you guys do? So for me, immediately after TSO, I left the country and I went to the UK because Debs had actually left. There's a story here. That will be a story for another time. So Debs left that December, that last week. And so immediately after TSO, I went to join my wife.
Yes.
And at that same time is when called Njugush and, conversation started happening between Kubamba and Citizen. What can we do if we have 7 hours? So I'm in the UK, so we're having conversations on email, what can happen? And the guys here sat down and they were thinking critically about what to do if we have 7 hours.
Understand that he wanted to give you 7 hours on a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday morning.
From 6 o'clock to
1 p.m.
Who?
On the leading station. And I remember
in the region, not the country.
In 2009, when us guys were at NTV, I remember statistics had been done and the results had come out, and Citizen was like at 60% viewership in the country, and everyone else
was taking was sharing that 40%.
Yeah. So now we're having conversations about what needs to happen on Sunday morning. So akina Becky, akina Bob, Mchugush, akina Soksi, they're all having conversations about what needs to happen. And so we came up with a concept for what needs to happen from 6 to 1. Say 6 to 1, 6 to 9. Let's have a show that's focusing on a more mature audience. From 9 to 11, let's do a church service. And then from 11 to 1, let's do Kubamba. And on March 7th, 2010, we started Gospel Sunday on Citizen.
2010. And at the time you had Kambua in the morning. I'll never forget that first. I remember that first Sunday you were at Mavuno.
Yes.
The Mavuno church.
Yes.
And then now you are doing Kubamba, the show.
So Pastor M had been having conversations with Washira Waruru. So Mavuno was our dummy.
It was your pilot.
It was our pilot to see how this thing is going to work. And that first show that we did, system crashed. Number of texts that came in.
What?
There were like over 17,000 messages. We couldn't handle the numbers. And Jugush was there with Kambua. Oh man, such a great partnership, man. Jugush with Kambua. Then the church services, we'd introduce the church services from the different locations. I think Becky's on side by hosting the churches from different locations.
Yes.
And then, Soksi, Celeb and I, and DJ Sanch on Kubamba from 11 to 1.
That is just insane. 2010 March
7th.
March 7th, 2010.
We launched it, man. And we had such a great team, Bana. And I have to give a big shout out as well going out to Latifa, who was the programs manager at Citizen. And the whole crew, man. The guys we were with on the ground were fantastic, man.
That's insane.
So, man, it was that was a huge turning point, I think, as well for the gospel industry. Because now we have a block of 7 hours on the leading station. Remember, guys called it dead airtime before.
Yep.
Said God is in the business of raising the dead.
That's insane.
And now we started something that all media houses have.
Till today.
Today.
In fact, Soksi, Celeb, and I think Sanch left to go and do that on K24.
On K24. The growth that was happening, man, no one could ignore. Do you just bookmark it here?
Yeah.
We go. Talk almost 2 o'clock.
Let me.